Welcome to Swish and Flick, an all Potter podcast.
Swish and flick. Everyone? Swish and flick.
Hello, and welcome to episode 49 of Swish and Flick. I'm Sarah.
I'm Megan.
And I'm Katie.
Tiffany's out having a baby and being a mom, so we've asked her friend to help us out for a couple of episodes. What is wrong with me?
You can't read.
This is true. Unfortunately, he isn't a Gryffindor, but we'll take what we can get. Welcome, Ezra, the humble Hufflepuff.
Wow. Thanks, guys. Good to be here.
Welcome, Ez.
Welcome, Ez.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to say what you're supposed to be doing right now?
Oh, well, I am chewing on a corn dog. Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't bring the corn dog, so you guys can see me chewing on it, but, I did just have a corn dog before I got on, and we'll continue to have one throughout the show.
Why?
Sick.
Team corn dogs.
Ugh.
Gross. So this episode is sponsored by Chelsea Hernandez, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
So today we will be discussing chapter 7 of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the Boggart in the Wardrobe. So make sure that you have read the chapter and you're ready to dive into the details. Before we begin, let's go to Megan for all your social media needs.
Here's Megan with social media needs. Swish and Flick Podcast can be found on Facebook at Swish and Flick Podcast and on Twitter and Instagram at Swish Flickcast. Also, make sure that you head on over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. All of our podcasts are posted there, as long as random vlogs when we have time to post them.
As long as.
Yep. Follow
As well
us. So make sure that you subscribe and follow. There's a little bell. Click the bell. You'll be notified when we post something. Also, head on over to Patreon for exclusive access to the Felix Files, which is our bi-monthly bonus episodes, a chance to be a guest on the Felix Files, a live video chat session with us monthly on Zoom, giveaways, and more. So if that sounds like fun, head on over to patreon.com/swishflickcast to choose your support level. Shout out and huge thank you to all of our current patrons. We love you a lot. Lastly, if you don't want to do any of those things separately, you can head on over to swishflickcast.com where everything is in one spot. Yes, I'll say it again. It's all in one spot at swishflickcast.com.
It's a Swish hub.
It's a Swish hub.
I thought you were just going to say, if you don't want to do any of those things, then don't.
But more importantly than social media, I've got some weekly profit news, guys. Are you ready?
Ready.
Yes.
Swish and Flick's favorite thing to talk about is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. So, I figured we should talk about the fact that it is coming to Germany. Hamburg, Germany. It is the first non-English production of the show. And I thought that this was pretty cool because, so obviously it premiered in London. It took a while for it to premiere in New York. It took even longer for it to premiere in Melbourne. And now all of a sudden we get San Francisco a week ago and now Germany like a week later. It's like boom, boom, boom.
I like that they're making it more accessible for more of the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. Instead of just being like, well, can't get to London, New York, SOL,
Yeah. I have to say, I'm probably not gonna make it to Hamburg, Germany, but I'm definitely gonna try and go to the San Francisco one, I think. And then I can say that I'll have seen it in 3 different places, and I think that'd be super cool.
That deserves a bell, doesn't it? There you go.
Katie, she's a little...
Not on it today. And
Yeah,
Tiffany's
she's a little
not here to
rusty.
bring the bell for us.
Excuse
Ezra, where's your bell?
Guys, I'm sorry. It's my fault.
Ezra, you're throwing off my game.
So for
my bad.
anybody...
Too many Hufflepuffs on the show,
No such thing.
So for anybody who's curious, it's premiering in Germany in 2020. So.
I'll be 30. We'll all be, well, he's already 30.
Okay.
And because I know that we have not discussed on a Felix File, or not on a Felix Files, on a Weekly Prophet that it's coming to San Francisco, because that's kind of new news as well. That's premiering in 2019, fall of 2019. So that's like
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
You guys just got like a double weekly profit. A whoa, weekly profit.
Whoa, weekly profit.
I was trying to do it twice, but I think I did it 3 times. Do you have another story to make it a triple?
No, that's about it. So yeah,
Cool.
I think that's cool.
All right.
Nice.
So I believe someone was put in charge of leading us into our next little segment here.
Oh, is that me? Is
Yeah,
Yes!
yeah, that's you.
Oh,
Are you
man.
podcasting or are you sleeping?
Yes, both. Right?
He'll never be asked back.
This is a lot of pressure here. How many re's are there in this? You know.
You know what?
There's
I think
4.
Spin it
Go
off
with the
your
flow.
own way, yeah.
So just a little like, is it recap?
Yeah!
Is that right? Is that?
Yeah.
That was perfect.
Would Tiffany be proud? That's what I
I
want to
think
know.
I don't
so.
know.
Maybe.
Practice for next time.
I
Yeah.
think
Okay,
she'd give you a
you
7.
guys put me on the spot there. I didn't know I was doing that. I'm sorry.
Well,
We-
you are
we
Tiffany's
told you.
replacement, and Tiffany does do it, so comes with
Okay.
the job.
I wouldn't say
Okay.
replacement, I'd say substitute.
Substitute. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Fill in.
Please. Yeah.
All right,
Uh,
so recap. The first day of classes aren't so great. Herm seems to have some sort of secret, and apparently Harry's gonna die because he's seen the Grim.
The Grim.
Things seem like they might improve during Hagrid's first Care of Magical Creatures class, but Malfoy, of course, has to ruin it. And do you think Hagrid's gonna get sacked?
Nah.
I don't know.
Probably
His
should
father
be.
will hear about that.
Whoa.
What?
If you're gonna talk bad about Hagrid, you can go out. Just me.
Just teasing.
We love him on this podcast.
I love Hagrid too. He's actually one of my favorites.
Apparently, you want him sacked, though. That's not very loving.
No, I don't want him sacked.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay. All right. So Malfoy is faking his injury because he's lame, and he makes Ron do all of his work for him in potions. And we learn some interesting things while they're there. Hermione is carrying a heavy load, and they head to Defense Against the Dark Arts class, where things get a little ridiculous. Where Snape wears a dress, and the kids leave having their best defense class yet.
I really want someone who's never, ever, ever touched anything with Harry Potter to just read that summary and be like, Snape in a dress? And wait, what?
That's funny.
Guys, this is the best chapter. I just need to throw that out there.
One of my favorites.
One of my
all
favorite
time.
chapters out of the entire series.
That's a good one. So is it my turn now? I mean, do we jump into this thing?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to tell them what color your section is?
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
You have to tell them. You chose the color.
Oh, me. Okay, yeah. It's purple. I went with purple. So, kind of a royal color, you know.
Ooh, speaking of purple, I need to let the world know. Swish and Flick officially owns a purple tent for events. And we're going to have
Seriously?
a purple tent at the Wizardly World of Kent. We're going to be so cool.
Stoked.
Do you want to ring
awesome.
that bell a couple of times? Woo. There you
Purple,
go.
purple, purple.
A lot of purple in there.
Purple, purple, purple.
That's pretty neat.
Purple, 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 purple.
Um,
That was really hard to do.
hey, since this is my, first time on here, jumping right into the middle of the book, can I, just ask you guys a couple questions about the last
Sure.
couple chapters and listening to what was happening? Is that okay?
Yeah, we can't promise that we'll be accurate because we forget everything we say, but we'll try.
We're not really a podcast. We don't know who Harry Potter is, and sometimes, I know I'm the least Potter person here.
Right. Well, okay. So I'll just scrap the questions.
No, go ahead. Ask us questions.
Yeah,
We
ask
might give
away.
you some answers.
No. Well, first I want to make a comment because I was reading this to kind of get caught up to, to fill in and help out. And I had kind of forgotten how much time that Harry spends on Diagon Alley, in those first couple of chapters where he's just there. He just spends like, how many weeks does he have? Like 3 weeks or something there,
Yeah.
where he's just chilling out. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I just thought that was kind of neat. He's just chilling out there the whole time, and gets there's more shops that are mentioned than I really thought. So I thought that was kind of neat, honestly. Now, I think it was last chapter, you guys were talking about divination, and that you had Trelawney was there. They were in her class.
Mm-hmm.
The tea leaf stuff. Is any of that like legit? Like, did she predict anything that actually came true, or is she just a big phony?
Well, she predicted the
I
prophecy
think-
came from her, and then the whole thing with you see later on. I don't know, but the stuff that she actually says in the chapter. Sorry, Megan.
No, it's
I
okay.
don't know. It's just I think some of it's a coincidence. Sorry, I wasn't finished.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say that I think that it kind of is true if you look at it in a big picture. You know, I mean, she sees the Grim for Harry, and that's kind of true. I mean, he dies. He doesn't fully die, but he dies. And then, yes, Katie.
Oh, go ahead. I'll wait till you're done.
And then even if you talk about well, actually it's a movieism that Ron reads Harry's tea leaves as being he's gonna suffer but he's gonna be happy about it. It's actually the other way around in the book. So that's also kind of true if you think about it. I mean, Ron is going to have a pretty hard time in the coming years. Even if you just look at it this year alone, like just look at Prisoner of Azkaban, Ron is going to suffer a bunch because he thinks that Sirius is this psycho dog that is trying to kill his rat, and then he's trying to defend his rat, and then all of a sudden he's happy because Sirius is a good guy, and yeah.
Spoiler.
But Trelawney doesn't predict that. Harry reads his leaves.
Right. Yeah, no, I know.
Well, and that
because Ezra in his little notes here, he'd said Ron's tea leaf reading versus Sybil Trelawney's reading, and I think that both of them actually are kind of right though, in different ways.
Yeah.
I will say on in some of Sybil Trelawney's like Pottermore background stuff, it does say like how, you know, yes, she does have true seeing. Sometimes she's not aware of it, but like her other ones, like when she predicts about the rabbit with Lavender, when
It's
she
just
predicts,
kind of luck.
yeah, and when
lucky.
she predicts that Neville's gonna like break a teacup, it mentions on there that she's very good at like reading the situation as like a psychic who isn't a real psychic could. Like she just kind of picks up on those clues and like is good at that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen the show Psych? He's in it. Like the guy pretends he's like a psychic. All he's doing is like reading the room and reading the people and picking up all these clues. And then he's like, this happens, and he's usually right. The one person's like, no, he's a psychic. No, he's not. He's faking it. But like you said, like, you know, if you know Neville or you see him, like he's a nervous person. Like if you're a nervous person, you're doing things and you're around fragile things, and someone's like, you're gonna break a cup. You're gonna break a cup. You know what I mean?
Right.
Come on now. You tell me she didn't foresee that cup breaking.
No. And I'm not saying I think that she has potential, but I don't think that she's right all the time.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's another question. So like when Ron sees, you know, that doesn't he see that Harry's going to win some gold unexpectedly? Like when he's reading his tea leaves, I think it says that he's going to win some gold and possibly he sees the top hat, which might, you know, mean that he's going to work for like the Ministry of Magic.
Ministry. He sees a bowler hat and he's like, oh, maybe you'll work for the Ministry.
And he
Right.
does.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. You know, like Ron sees these things, you know, and then Trelawney takes the cup. It's almost like, you know, maybe Ron's readings were more accurate, you know, than Trelawney's or something. I don't know. So,
The tea leaves just say the truth, Kate. You just gotta.
Yes, yeah.
I just thought it was interesting because I didn't really, you know, all the different things that he sees in there. I thought it was kind of neat. So
We should try. Did I tell this last time that we should read our own tea
I'm
leaves?
so down.
That would be fun.
Yeah, we should do that. Let's do that
Cool.
the next time we're all hanging out.
Okay.
Never.
Okay, so you ready for? We'll jump into Tiffany's notes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this kind of starts off, and I'm just going to read some of what she has on here because I love her little like laugh out louds and the different things she puts in here. Her commentary. But it's a potions lesson with Snape, right? And Malfoy's just been maimed. You know, he didn't come to class until late Thursday morning during double potions class. Yeah.
Malfoy was nudged down onto the ground, is what happened.
There was blood.
He's hurting.
There was blood.
It's killed me. It's killed me.
Gosh.
So anyways, it's a long time. He's milking it, right? But let's see. He's all bandaged up, acting like he's a war hero. Pansy Parkinson is fawning all over him, and she says, "Gross," right?
Well, you gotta
But-
say it like
I
Tiffany.
agree.
How gross?
Gross.
Gross? I don't know. But this pansy chick, who is like, does she end up with Draco in the end?
No.
No, they
I didn't
do
think
date,
so.
but
They date though, yeah.
He marries Astoria Greengrass. Is that her name?
Astoria. Something.
Astoria. Is her last name Greengrass?
Maybe. That sounds kind of familiar.
Daphne's her sister.
Yeah.
I don't know if Greengrass could probably be wrong.
But this girl's like, she's the one that's like fawning over him for most of the series, though, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but this whole situation they're going over, they're doing the shrinking solution, like the shrinking potion, which I've got some of my own takeaways here at the bottom that I want to go over. But Snape treats Malfoy very differently. He shows up late and he basically gets this free pass. Come on in, no big deal, sit down, you're good to go. Now my question: does he always treat them that way? Does he always give Malfoy like a free pass like that, or is it because he's injured?
Yeah.
It's always.
Yeah. Okay.
Always.
Well, yeah.
Make me vomit.
It's like
But
common.
you know what? Maybe the Slytherins are mistreated, Megan. Maybe like you need to teach her to kind of stick up for him, and
I will say that it is kind of nice. I mean, as much as I don't think that I would be a fan of Snape being at Hogwarts during his time, I guess technically, though, I would not be there during his time.
No, he'd be
He would have
long
been
dead.
But for argument's sake, I think that I would probably appreciate the fact that he favors us a little bit, because I feel like we would just get so much crap from everybody else. Like, oh, you're a Slytherin, you're bad, you're evil, you're Voldemort's house. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, but think of how much stuff the Hufflepuffs get. Oh, you're lame. What the hell is a Hufflepuff? Blah, blah, blah.
Jay Finch, finching
Ravenclaws keep
around.
to themselves.
Oh my god, Jay Finch.
well, but there is a pretty bad connotation associated with the Slytherins, though. I mean,
Yeah,
they always do kind of get
unfair.
Yeah, I mean, one of the redeeming, like later on, Slughorn he's a boss. I love Professor Slughorn, but okay. So he's telling the class to settle down, favoring his own house. The potion of the day is the shrinking solution, the same that Snape set his summer essay for. So, and then as I was reading, like, that's what Harry's working on over the summer. He's working on that essay about the shrinking solution.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, always trying to find time to work on that and things. Now so Tiffany listed all the ingredients here. Are you guys doing like I saw some of you were doing these what are they called? Fact files?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Those
so
are from Pottermore.
Yeah. When I looked up Trelawney and some other people and Pansy, and I saw some of that listed there. So that's pretty neat. But she actually another quick question: do you guys ever use the wiki? Is that ever allowed to be?
Occasionally, yeah.
Okay, because I just didn't know if that was a big
just
no-no.
Check the
frowned upon.
sources there, that's all.
And like take it with a grain of salt, like any wikia.
Right.
Yeah, because the shrinking solution is mentioned in a lot of Harry Potter video games. When I went to the wiki, I was looking at it, and like a lot of stuff they were coming up with came from
Yeah, that's neat.
video games.
That's
so,
legit. I think
yeah.
that's legit. Mm-hmm.
But so the ingredients are she's daisy roots, shrivel fig, caterpillars, rat spleen, leech juice.
Whoa.
So some pretty awesome stuff in there.
Real good.
Yeah.
Do you think that leech juice means like the person's blood they were just sucking out, or like some other type of juice from a leech?
I don't know. They're pretty like juicy creatures to begin with, aren't they? They're
Yeah.
like, gross, like
I bet
slugs.
Yeah.
I bet it's just like their innards.
They're like, well, like probably their secretions,
Right, yeah, their
Innards.
I was gonna say, like, if they just sucked someone's blood, like their innards are the person's blood.
This is true.
Innards.
I mean, I shouldn't say that. Leeches are very good in some medical places. They're needed when like you have a wound, so they're
Yeah.
healing.
Thank you.
Leeches kind of
if
remind
it was
me
gonna
of,
heal me, go ahead, leech, suck on me all you want.
Oh God. Leeches kind of remind me of the that you remember that show Fear Factor?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just scary little things. But anyway, so that's some of the ingredients that are in this shrinking solution, and Malfoy's just hamming it up with Snape, the rest of the students, by saying he needs his potion made or like, stuff cut up by like Ron and Harry and stuff. He basically is, pretending that his arm is super injured. He's like, I think at one point he winks at Crabbe and Goyle, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he does.
Yeah, kind of indicate that
he's totally faking it.
Yeah, that he's not good. So he gets Snape to kind of, Ron and Harry have to cut up some of his stuff, which, just why is he sitting with them? Does he get to pick a seat?
I think Malfoy.
I think he's just close to
purposely
him.
did it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to purposely. Yeah, Megan.
I was just gonna say that you did not call Malfoy what Tiffany put in the notes, which is a garbage human.
Well, she didn't say human. She said person.
Oh, garbage person.
Garbage person. Yeah. I mean, is he though? I mean, Tiffany.
You don't think Malfoy's a garbage person at this point? He's trying to get Hagrid fired, and he's being mean to Ron and Harry.
Because I'm just a pretty even kill Hufflepuff. I'm just trying.
He sits by Harry and Ron so that Snape will make them help him with his potion. Like he knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh yeah.
I would like to know if there are people in the group though that kind of like, have a thing for Draco. Is there any fan support for him?
Oh, there's a big fan base for Draco.
Yeah.
I like Draco, but like in later books.
He's the only person that ever got a hug from Voldemort. I mean, I'm just saying.
I don't like him. I don't like him now, but I start to feel for him in Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah.
Because he's really just put in a bad situation because of his family. And I think that he really is deep down a good person, but he really is a product of his environment at this point.
Yes.
He finds his heart.
Exactly.
He finds his light.
He finds his way. And shout out to Cursed Child. Cursed Child sheds a pretty good light on Draco. And I appreciate
much better light
that.
than it does on Harry.
Yeah, honestly.
Womp. I don't have tea to sip. I just have water. So.
Yeah. I mean, right now he's a kid. I'm with you guys as it progresses. You do kind of feel bad for him and stuff. But right now he's just a snotty, kid. He's just trying to cause a little trouble. Yeah. So, anyways, Ron is tasked with cutting his daisy root. So Ron grabs it real quick, and he begins to cut them horribly. Malfoy tattles, and Ron is now to give Malfoy his perfectly equally shredded roots. Because I think that was one of the...
so mad.
Yeah, it's one of the specifications. He has to be equally cut up, Yes, Megan?
I just think this is another example of Snape I just am not a fan at this point.
No words.
I'm just not a fan. I understand what Ron did necessarily maybe wasn't nice, but you gotta understand the situation here a little bit.
Yeah, but Snape's on Malfoy's side.
I know.
Well, hold on now.
It just annoys the poop out of me.
Okay, so are you talking about where he switches? He makes him he has to give his perfectly. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, Ron knew he wasn't supposed to cut him that way. He just does it real quick.
I agree.
He just chops him up, kind of garbage like.
I'm not gonna lie. I would have done the exact same thing as Ron.
Maybe Ron's a Slytherin.
Yeah, and you know what? As a teacher, I would have taken your roots and I would have passed them over to Sarah and said, "Here."
even though Sarah is faking and could clearly cut them up herself, that is what gets me.
Is that clear? All I've heard in the teacher's lounge is that some hippogriff, attacked Draco, and he is very injured. I mean, even Madame Pomfrey can't figure this out. Clearly something's going on.
Okay. I think that Ron should not have. I mean, I don't know. He shouldn't have done that. A little hot-headed redhead cutting.
Yeah. I would have cut them up so bad for him. I would have been like, here. Let's see how your potion turns out.
You should know that, you're going to cut it up bad, and Snape's going to be like, haha, you have to switch now because you're not nice.
Yeah. Yeah, you could have saw that coming if you're Ron, I think
he was just hoping that Snape wasn't going to walk around at that point, and he would have just quickly put him in Malfoy's cauldron, here. You're done.
Yeah, maybe.
So after that, Tiffany notes here, that he delivers that message with a nasty smirk under his greasy black hair. Yeah. So just driving home, Snape's appearance again, time and time again. So yeah, Harry is then tasked with skinning Malfoy's shrivel fig.
What the hell is a shrivel fig?
Yeah, I know. I was gonna look all these things up, but I didn't have time to look them all up. But like a shrivel fig, I guess it's a fig that's shriveled. I don't
That's
know.
what I would think. Maybe
Is that
maybe
what
it's
it
like a sun-dried
means?
pig.
I don't know. I mean,
Oh my god.
so anyways, Harry did this as fast as he could with a loathing look, and then he tried to work on his own potion. Okay, and then in all caps, Tiffany says, "Can we just take the time to show that Ron and Harry were trying their best to successfully brew this potion?" Yes, Megan.
I looked up what a shrivel fig is.
Okay.
It is from Abyssinia, and it is a type of plant where its blossoms grow inside. It's like this. It's purple. Ding.
Wow.
It does look a little shriveled, but like not exactly how I would picture it.
It kind of looks
It's-
like a purple pear. That's
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
A magical plant with powerful properties in potions. The finest shrivel fig specimens are found in Abyssinia. The flowers grow inside the fruit, both of which are purple in color. It is a deciduous plant, meaning that its leaves start to shed in autumn and the plant is leafless during winter. However, due to its aggressive roots, the plant can still survive even in snowy conditions. The leaves have medicinal properties. When skinned, the fruit, which is actually the plant's flower and contains blossoms inside, produces a purple liquid with potion-making properties. The ingredient can be purchased at the apothecary in Diagon Alley for 3 galleons.
Man, we're belling
Wow.
it up today.
Wow. A lot of colors and a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
It's great. Well, okay. So that's what Harry's, chopping up there.
So
or
he's
it's
trying
actually
to get
not
that
chopping,
purple juice
skinning it.
out of there.
Yeah. Well, actually, after you read the description, it makes more sense as to why he's skinning it instead of like cutting it up and things.
Yeah.
Either they're going to use the skin or they just don't need the skin. One of the two. So, but back to Tiffany's point though, can we take time to just focus in on Harry, and Ron actually trying their best to successfully brew this potion, right?
Well, they
Honestly,
shouldn't. They're in
really
school.
were trying. But Ron. I mean, he never really... I love Ron to death, but he doesn't try very hard in school. And Harry really doesn't either.
Yeah, well,
But they
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 did
pass everything.
I
you
know.
kind of start like a new school year and you have this new energy and you're ready to go and at least
That's
first day of
true.
class they've got that energy that they're going to try and get this right and
Now,
So.
as a teacher, how long does that last?
wow, sometimes like the first 9 weeks maybe.
Wow.
It depends. For some kids it can be 2 to 3 weeks or whatever, but then it just depends on how motivated you are, and it depends how how ambitious you are. Do you want a straight A? Do you want high marks, or are you cool with just passing the class? So
I was
I don't know.
the one who was just cool passing a class, so my energy dwindled within like a week.
and you're the Ravenclaw, right?
Yeah. I just don't like when people like give me deadlines.
Oh.
I'm like, I don't want to read this 5 chapters by like whatever, or I don't want to have to write this paper or do this homework. Reasons why I don't have a college degree.
Homework
Yeah.
sucks.
But really, no.
All right, let's dive into more of her notes here. So, Malfoy begins to pry about the state of Hagrid. Saying that father is not happy. They're all kind of wondering, is he going to get fired?
Yeah.
I think it's later tonight, or the next day, where they actually go, or did they already go see Hagrid?
They saw him finding any real information out, like just knowing that that Malfoy had told his dad, and his dad is like they're inquiring and all this stuff, and he thinks he's probably going to get fired, but that's all we know so far.
Yeah. Okay. Ron's all fired up about that. He's really upset. Tiffany had a couple other comments in here about Malfoy, but I don't have that actually highlighted in the chapter, so I'm just gonna skip on down to Neville being abused in this chapter.
Neville.
I mean, seriously, like this is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
This part here, the way he calls him out, like I mean, here's the thing, to relate this to modern, to our world, publicly shaming a student in class, right? It's exactly what he does here to Neville.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah. So Tiffany says this is his worst class. Snape is literally his worst fear, and he is expected to perform. The potion at this time is supposed to be an acid green, and yet his was orange. There you go.
Aren't you glad I didn't have to drink that potion? Am I right?
Oh man. What is this? She says sad tweet. Yeah. Okay. Snape showed off Neville's incorrect potion in front of the whole class. And then she says, okay, first of all, hard no on that, right? Showing that off to everyone. And he actually takes like a ladle and he like pours it out, and everyone can clearly see it's orange, when it should be acid green. So yeah. Let's see. Neville turns a bright shade of pink. He's all embarrassed. Yeah, wow, Katie, you're back. You're on. This is good.
It's me
This
and
is
Meg.
so-
We're teaming it.
I didn't even realize, like, I'm gonna have to, like, for me, like, highlight all these colors, because that's like,
For
it's
me.
a lot to process. Okay, so as he's embarrassed, whatever. Tiffany says this is going to always be the case in this class. He will never be successful unless his relationship with Snape changes. And then she notes, or probably Sarah, that Sarah is the coolest. I don't know how that got in the notes, but that's in the notes.
That's
I think
crazy.
someone has sabotaged Tiffany's notes. Someone has gotten in here and made this difficult for me.
But I would agree that Sarah is the coolest.
Yeah, Sarah's the coolest, sure. But I think that's true, though. I mean, is Neville ever successful in potions class?
I don't think so.
Is he better under Slughorn?
Probably everyone is. But did he get into the class though? Because that
So
was like
did
after
he
you had to
get in?
take your.
Oh yeah. Probably not.
Yeah.
Well, but like, what's mean about him? I don't know. And please forgive me for all the Snape lovers out there. I just don't understand. He's so cruel doing that, and he makes his toad eat it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. We're getting to that. Yeah. He. Well, okay. Now Neville's into herbology, right?
yes.
That's his big thing. So you would think, like, all these different roots and stuff he's working with and stuff, the herbs and stuff that you have to put into a potion, that would be kind of a turn on. Like, you would think potions class and herbology. Sorry, I cannot say turn on.
Was not expecting that.
Okay, gotcha. But you know what I'm saying, though, right? I mean, is like, you would think those two would go hand in hand, right, Megan?
It would
When I
make
ask you.
sense.
I mean, I don't think it would. Like, I think I could understand, like, saying, like, with someone that loves to grow, like, vegetables and stuff, might not like to cook. They just might like to grow it and then hand it to someone and be like, here, make me dinner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's fair.
But I think that what could be useful in being good at herbology and then being good at potions is that you potentially understand the magical properties of the plants that you're working with in potions. So, like, but, this is only third year, the beginning of third year. You're probably not learning super difficult things in herbology and potions yet. So, down the road, that maybe could have been helpful to Neville because he would have understood, like, oh, well, this might cancel this out or this might enhance this or something like that. But
Yeah. Okay, here's a question for you guys. Would Neville be better at potions if Snape wasn't the teacher?
absolutely.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay.
I
So,
think that, like, him being afraid of him and him as Snape being, like, not menacing, but you know what I mean? Like, he's very intimidating, and we know that that's Neville's worst fear, so that's gonna make him and his performance a little stunted.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, I don't see Neville ace in the class or anything, but I certainly don't see
No.
him being like this.
I see him passing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see
okay.
him kind of being on, like, Ron's level with
Yeah.
potions if Snape wasn't the teacher.
Are you becoming the new divination teacher that you're seeing all of this?
Yeah, I am.
What was your
I'm a
impression?
seer.
Your impression of Trelawney?
No.
Okay.
No.
So I don't know. I'm with you guys. I think he would be better off if Snape wasn't the teacher. You know, I actually think he'd be pretty darn good at this class. You know, in my opinion, it's really just it is following directions. And like for example, in this, I think he added an extra rat spleen or something. Isn't that what they said?
He just has no confidence.
Yeah.
And Snape doesn't help with that.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
for sure. And leading up to him getting a new wand after 5, right? Is when he has to get a new one. He's kind of just like everything is stacked up against Neville in terms of learning and being successful in school until like 5th year. At the end, really 6th year, which is unfortunate because who knows what classes he could have made for like any WT level previous to this with his own wand that actually chose him. And maybe that, you know, like maybe having his own wand would have given him a little bit of confidence and been able to perform better. And then, Snape just totally like stunts his learning and potions. I mean, I had a couple teachers that were like that where I didn't learn anything in the class because they were nasty and I didn't like them and they didn't like me. And it's like, if you're in a situation like that, you're not going to want to pay attention in that class. You're not going to want to even go to the class. I mean, I came up with every excuse in the book to skip the class that I'm talking about. And I
think
feel
we share this class.
Yes, we did. And we, you know, like I feel like I potentially could have done well in that class, but I was scared to ask questions because I was afraid that the teacher would give me some snarky response or, you know, not want to answer the question for me. And I never got to learn that realm of design because of that teacher, really, which is unfortunate.
Yep.
And I think that that's the exact same situation that Neville's in. So I feel for him.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I like, my personal philosophy, to go on a little bit of a tangent here with teaching, is rapport. If you don't have good rapport with your kids and they don't want to be in the classroom, then, you know, that's the barrier that they're trying to get over, you know, before they even get into the door. They don't want to get there. They don't want to come to class because they, like you said, they feel afraid. They don't feel comfortable, you know. So, and if you're not comfortable, you can't learn. So I totally.
Maybe that's why I can't learn. I'm never comfortable.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, if, you know, just thinking about the class that I'm talking about and comparing it to Neville, like, I mean, first of all, you would never see Neville raise his hand to ask Snape a question about something. And this didn't even happen to me, it happened to Katie, but we had a project, and our teacher's coming around looking at it, and she looks at Katie and goes, "That's what you came up with?" It's like, okay, I'm really going to strive to do well in this class with you speaking to students like that. It's just... Yeah, rapport is everything. Yeah. Maybe it wasn't the best idea in the entire world, but guess what? It did the project exactly as you said that it was supposed to. And the fact that you can't...
Give me some constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
And, but...
Yeah. Well, I mean, this chapter actually highlights a lot of, like, you have Neville, you know, who's right now doing a terrible job with this potion, and you've got someone like Hermione who is doing an excellent job, and Snape just is, you know, kind of rude and disrespectful to both of them. You know, like you have the model student, you don't, you know, lift her up as an example that someone else you should act more like her, etc. Actually, he kind of puts her down. You know, so the difference is like Snape is like a potions master, but he's not a good teacher. You know, he knows his stuff,
but he's not good at teaching it.
Right. Now, another question, because
wait, can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
I have a question. But it's interesting to see in this chapter at the beginning of it, Neville with Snape, and he's floundering, I would say. And then at the end of it, you see him with Lupin, who knows what he's doing, who's a good teacher, who has good rapport, and Neville, like, does so well. Yeah, like he does really great with him. So it's interesting to see those two different teachers and their different styles. And
I think also, to say quickly, with Neville, if you also look at his rapport with McGonagall, McGonagall is stern, and can be intimidating at times, but she communicates with the students very well. So Neville might not be like an O student in Transfiguration, but he can pass that class because he's not scared to ask her a question. He knows that she's going to give a response, even though she's very like, this is what needs to be done, and she's straightforward, to the point, stern, as she's described in, all the time. But you can be stern and be a good teacher, unlike Snape, who is just like a jerk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, final question here on this little bit. In defense of Snape, was Snape ever going to be a teacher? Was that his initial ambition and goal, to be a teacher at Hogwarts? And that's putting you on the spot a little bit, but
I think his initial goal was to be husband and father to Lily's children.
Come on now.
Second
I
goal
thought you were going to get
was
real
to
graphic
be,
there.
I don't know.
I think that he did always want to be a teacher. He just didn't want to teach potions.
True.
Oh yeah, he wanted to be the defense against the dark arts teacher. But even that, does he do well?
No.
Because he's
I don't
mean to them
think
in
he
this
does.
book.
No, he's still the same. He's still the same way that he is. I just kind of wondered.
Katie's laughing at me. No, he doesn't do well. He's not a good teacher. I mean, he can want to teach all he wants, but that doesn't mean he's good at it. I'm sorry.
Oh no. Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, I don't want to be
that,
harsh, and I really do, and I hope that people realize it. I really try to see both sides with Snape. I try, and there's some situations where I just can't.
Did I take us down a dark
book.
rabbit hole? I'm sorry if I did. I didn't mean,
it's fine. No,
Okay.
it's fine, because this is important, and this class, this specific potions class, is one of the worst scenes for Snape, in my opinion. If you're ever going to argue about his character, and not meaning his character as Snape is the character, but his personal character, this scene will do you no justice in defense of him, because there's absolutely no positive to anything in this scene for him, and it is just cruel, flat out cruel. This is him being a child, teaching, trying to talk to these kids. This scene is awful for him, and there's no two sides to this scene. I'm sorry for anybody that wants to try and defend him here, but I can't see it here. There's other parts in the series where there is a good and a bad to him, and I can accept that, and that's fine, especially when you get later in the books, you're talking about his legitimacy lessons, whenever he's teaching defense, whatever. He did a lot of great things for the cause and great things for Harry, and nobody can take that away from him, and nobody can say anything negative or bad about that. But how he's treating these 13-year-olds is just unacceptable and uncalled for, especially Hermione and Neville, I think, specifically. I mean, not only does he stunt, and I'm sorry that this is a little bit of a tangent, but not only does he stunt Neville's growth in potions, but potentially he stunts Hermione's as well, which is a real shame, because this girl is clearly very bright. She loves learning. She wants to take in as much knowledge as you're willing to give her, and you shut her down every single class. She helped Neville not to get points for Gryffindor, not to have you acknowledge how great she is. She just did it because she wanted to help Neville and maybe teach him a thing or two about the potion. And you're gonna punish
probably
her
save
for
his
that?
frog.
Right? And you're gonna punish her for that? That's insane. Go ahead, Ez.
Well, I mean, I think you're right on a lot of that. I almost wonder too, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here in defense of Snape, if it's just bad. Is he really a bad person, or is it just that he's taken made really poor medieval choices in the way that he teaches kids? The idea that you're going to publicly embarrass Neville, and then you're going to take the Miss Know-It-All, and you're going to kind of put her in her place. It's almost like he wants everyone to kind of funnel to the middle, type of thing.
But then he shouldn't show favoritism to the Slytherins, because Malfoy is not bad at potions, so he doesn't need the help. He doesn't need to be bolstered up by Snape, but Snape still does it. And yeah, Hermione is a know-it-all. I mean, that's known. It's said multiple times throughout the series that she's a know-it-all. But at the same time, she just, you have to understand people who are like that, because I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of her in grade school, so like I feel it, like 6th through 8th grade, like that was me. Not so much like in high school, because it was more of an even playing ground, because I went to like kind of uppity high school.
You go ahead and say it.
That,
prestigious. Go ahead and say it.
So like,
I'd call it prestigious or uppity.
It definitely
We had some dumb kids in our class.
Hey, now.
Well,
did you guys wear uniforms? Did you guys wear uniforms up there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Compared to
I
my
wore a
grade
uniform
school,
till I went to college.
Compared to my grade school, it definitely was, though. And I specifically chose that high school because I didn't want to go where anybody from my grade school was going. So that was like one of the main reasons why I chose it. But, anyway, I never had, thankfully, in grade school, I never had a teacher that did this. They more so were like, you want to know more? Ask away. I am more than willing to give you all of the information that you want to, as long as you're not straying too far from the topic or like, being a jerk about being a know-it-all, because there are those kind of people too, and Hermione's definitely not that. She's not full of herself. She just wants to learn because she likes to learn, and that's really how Emma is too. And I think that she played it very well because of that.
Mm-hmm. And just another tic-tacky thing, but like Trelawney, like later on, she shows. I think some of these teachers, not only Snape, do show some favoritism towards certain students. I mean, that's actually kind of a flaw in all of us. Like you get connected to some kid because he's gonna be your the star player on your Quidditch team or whatever, or. You know what I'm saying? Or they're really good at divination and stuff like that.
Are you saying that McGonagall favors Harry?
I don't know, May.
No.
I don't know.
I don't think she does.
She doesn't, though. No, I don't.
No,
think
she doesn't. She doesn't. But I think there are times where that happens. I guess my question really was just that: is Snape a bad person or is he a bad teacher?
I think
it's a little bit of both.
Would you weight one? Would you weight more on the side of bad teacher or more on the side of bad
life?
Yeah. I would say he's more a bad teacher than a bad person. But
he makes bad choices.
Part of his flaws are that, and we've discussed this to death on the Felix Files, but one of his biggest flaws is that he just won't grow up. He won't put the past in the past, and he won't focus on the present. He is just so stuck in the past that he is, gonna take things out on Harry. He's gonna take things out on Neville, because, Neville could have been the chosen one, and then Lily would be alive. And he takes things out on people that don't deserve it. And it's because he dwells on the past. So.
Gotcha. Last thing, I think for me, it's like we have people like I'm glad JK kind of wrote this type of character, because we do have people like this in our lives, who do, like you say, dwell, can't let stuff go. They're kind of childish, and it's like you should at some point, like this is just not the way to act and behave. But we have those people. Are we sad for those people, or are we angry at those people? Kind of like there's always try to pull like a lesson from a story. What is it we're trying to, learn from a character and things like that. And I think that could be one of the lessons, is that like this is a sad, miserable guy who can't get past the past and, lashes out.
I do feel sad for him at times.
So, but I don't know.
But I also feel angry. It's a combination of both things, I think, for him.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kate.
Before we move on, I just want to say, Mick, don't apologize for your soapbox. Preach. Just preach.
Yeah. Let it go. Let it out.
I think that this is what is important about dissecting these chapters.
Yes.
I mean, like, this scene shows a lot about Snape's character to me, and it's important to point it out. Mm-hmm. And it's also important to point out the super good things that are going to come about him later on as well.
Agreed.
Yes, good point. Another thing, real quick on Draco Malfoy. When you have an adult like this, you have an adult figure who is going to praise and, kind of gives back that same energy to Draco.
Yep.
He's a bad role model, and Draco eats it up. So that's where I was kind of thinking he is just a kid, and he is just eating up what this adult is giving him. So
he's a product of his environment within Slytherin and within his household.
Yeah.
It's just a bad combination all around for Draco.
Right. Okay. All right, guys. I have three major takeaways that I myself kind of wanted to ask you guys about, and then I'll be done. I promise.
You're fine.
So the what is the shrinking solution / potion used for? As I was reading, I was kind of like, what is it that, why would you use it? And this is where I was asking about the wiki. Is it okay to kind of pull up some stuff from the wiki? Yeah, Megan.
Well, I think that it's used for, if you look at Hogwarts Mystery, you take it to get into other people's common rooms. You can shrink down to mouse size and go anywhere you want. No password needed.
Meg, Flitwick said not to use it on human people.
Well, we figured it out and we did it. And it worked just fine.
Risky.
Honestly, I don't know. In a real life situation.
But what if you use, what is that spell, Engorgio? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Engorgio.
What if they use it on, what if they use it on an appendage?
Yeah, this could be if you put this solution on that part of your body, if it fixes it. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Or animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Would we ever see it used later on? Newt Scamander using it to move animals, around or smuggle different, types of animals in and out of.
That's a good thought.
Yeah.
But would it be harmful to an animal?
That's what I was thinking.
He would never do it.
No, he wouldn't do it. Yeah.
I think that who knows what magic was used to create his case, though. Mm-hmm. And there's definitely some real intense magic going on there because obviously 1 million animals fit inside it, including in a rumpant, which is massive, and it shrinks down into it. So I don't know.
I'm guessing it's Hufflepuff magic.
Yeah, I agree.
Come on. Preach that.
Yeah.
Newt the Huffle.
Okay, 2 more things really quick. Malfoy says something pretty interesting in this chapter. Maybe you'd rather not risk your neck, he said. Want to leave it to the Dementors, do you? But if it was me, I'd want revenge. I'd hunt him down myself. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't finish his thought, but I'm guessing that Malfoy probably knows the history that, behind Sirius and,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think that Malfoy knows the actual history? Do you think his dad's oh, he was never a follower, that's all lies, blah blah blah?
I don't, because of this quote right here. It seems like he actually believes the story that is known in the wizarding world.
Yeah, but is he just saying that to egg him on? Because he's I know Harry. He's kind of one of those, it leads with my heart and not my head, gonna go out and fight the Dementors, and he hopes it's gonna be a good show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Could be.
But he does say, he says, I'd want revenge.
Mm-hmm.
So, clearly, I think that means clearly Malfoy thinks that Sirius was the secret keeper for the Potters, and he was the reason why they died.
Yeah. Okay. I just kind of wondered. I thought that was interesting that Malfoy knew that much, intel. And this one, we can save this question for the end. The one I have about Hermione and the Time Turner. We'll say that for the end just because I think it's kind of interesting. I don't know. How she uses them and how she plans out when she's going to use them.
I don't know what a Time Turner is. We haven't heard that word yet.
Yeah, so we shouldn't mention it. Okay, just kidding. Just kidding. Sorry.
I'm kidding.
We could make that lightning bolt question.
I wanted to call it Felix Files for whatever reason.
I know. I was having trouble remembering what the heck it was called. I was like, what?
Are you guys on a podcast?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I don't know what a podcast is.
So that's all I've got.
Disclaimer to all of our listeners at this point: this is going to be a long episode.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
How long have we been talking?
Almost an hour.
We'll just cut his whole section out, and then it'll be short.
Sorry.
No, it was good. All right, guys.
We're switching up the order because Katie wants to talk about...
My main man, the one and only, the legendary, Howl at the Moon, Remus Lupin.
Remus John Lupin.
Remus John
Professor
Lupin.
R.J. Lupin.
It's on his suitcase, Ronald.
What's his dad's name?
I'm getting to that.
John.
Hold on. No, it's not.
I didn't know where John came from, is essentially what I'm asking.
J.K. Rowling literally said, like, she just likes it, and she knows it's boring, but that was
No,
it.
I like the name John. That's one of my favorite. My grandfather's name was John. They didn't call him that, but that was his first name. Fun fact.
Well,
Hey.
he's cool like Remus, so...
He's also dead like Remus, so...
I'm getting to that as well. So, I had to text Meg, because I got this section, because Sarah was nice enough. She made the doc, and she was like, I figured you should talk about him. So I texted Meg,
It was
and I
a
was
hot
like...
mess me making this.
Oh, it was fine. I was like, how much detail do I go into? Because I'm reading everything, and I want to just talk about everything. But
I want you to go into detail. You tell me everything.
I can't, because we're doing a feelings
Felix
file. But, so
this
yeah,
is
but that's
the...
different.
This is the pared down version of Remus John Lupin.
So I really tried to rein it in, and it was really difficult. So we'll just start with a fact file. So we've got Remus John Lupin, born March 10th, 1960. His wand is cypress, unicorn hair, 10 1/4 inches, and it's pliable. We all know he's Gryffindor. His Patronus is actually a wolf. Fun fact, he often does not produce a full-blown corporal Patronus because he doesn't like it. So he'll actually produce one that isn't fully
a wolf
materialized,
because
yeah.
he hates it.
Yeah.
Is it because he hates himself?
He doesn't
Is
like
that
that
why?
part of
Sorry, this is
himself.
kind of like a...
I think he just hates that part of him.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. He doesn't like anything that reminds him of it.
Wolfie.
Yup. Skills, he's exceptionally gifted in defense against the dark arts, and death didn't happen.
Yeah, he is. Remus didn't die.
Nope.
There was a typo in the 7th book. I
Yeah.
actually emailed J.K. Rowling about it. She said that it was just supposed to be Tonks lying there.
Oh.
That's sad, too!
No, I don't care. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
She's not kidding. She's
Meg,
not
she's a
kidding.
Hufflepuff.
I know, she's cool. I love her.
Alright, so, he was the only child of Lyle Lupin, who's a wizard, and Hope Howell, who's a muggle. Can we just talk about this? Howell. Also, I pulled this little Tumblr thing I found, and it says, Remus Lupin's father's name was Lyle Lupin. Lyle means wolf. Remus Lupin is literally Werewolf McWerewolf II. He is Moon Moon.
Moon Moon.
Moon Moon! So, before Remus was born... Or maybe it was when I don't know.
It was when he was little.
Maybe it was little. Lyle said he worked at the ministry. He was very gifted at like poltergeists and ghosts and such like that.
Nice.
But he said some pretty bad stuff against werewolves. He said they're soulless, evil, deserving nothing but death. At the time, Fenrir Greyback was at the ministry for a crime that he did commit, but nobody believed. He just kind of like faked his way out of it. He heard it. He wasn't having it. He planned revenge, and shortly before Remus turned 5, Greyback forced open his bedroom window and attacked him. And Lyle got there just in time to save his son's life. Cannot imagine this as a 5-year-old child. I just can't. It kind of like really hurts my heart.
Do you think he was gonna kill him, or just really wanted to turn him into a werewolf?
You know what? I don't know, because Greyback does like to spread the disease, so...
That's like kind of his shtick.
That's his thing.
Greyback
Yeah.
finds
Yeah.
children and bites them so that they become werewolves. So I don't... He may have just out of passion gone a little too far with Remus. And that's why Lyle, like, just stepped in time. But I don't think initially his thought was to kill him. I think it was just to turn him.
Yeah. But I mean, when
Do you think he tasted good?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you're a werewolf, you don't have your mind, so you're kind of gambling whether you're going to actually kill the person or not.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So his childhood, real quick.
But Fenrir would attack people even when he wasn't turned, which was very odd. That's a very weird thing about him. That's not normal in any way, shape, or form. Werewolves do not attack when they're not transformed.
I mean, unless they're
normally.
evil people.
Right.
And he's like an evil dude.
I think he just super gave into those wolfish instincts he had.
Yeah.
And I mean, he just became, honestly, like half a creature.
Yeah.
Even while human, you know?
Yeah.
So his parents did everything they could to find a cure, but it was no use. Their lives were dominated by their need to hide his condition, so they were constantly going from town to town as soon as, like, the rumors would start up. He wasn't allowed to play with any other children in case he let the truth slip out, so he was very lonely.
Poor dude.
Can you imagine? Like, I mean, there was no wolfsbane potion when he was little,
Right.
so once a month, a 5-year-old would transform into a werewolf. He had no clue what was going on. I believe that, I'm sorry if you say this, I don't think that you do, but his parents would literally have to just, like, lock him in their basement during the full moon because he would transform, and, like, obviously that's extremely dangerous because he's 5, he doesn't know what's going on, he doesn't have his mind, and he would just attack his parents. He had no idea.
But can you imagine like a little 5-year-old wolf? It'd probably be really cute, super dangerous, and really the whole situation is sad.
Yeah.
But that's a little ray of sunshine that it'd be adorable.
Yeah, he would be. He would
A
be.
little werepup.
Jeez.
Oh.
I did read, I didn't put this on here, so it's not going to be perfectly accurate, but, like, by the time he was a teenager, he was, like, capable of, like, bursting down doors, and it was just
Yeah.
getting, like, increasingly harder to contain him. Because, I mean, as you grow up,
You
your
get
werewolf
stronger.
form grows up, too, so...
Yeah.
So he was homeschooled because his parents were certain that he was never going to actually be able to set foot in a real school. But here comes Dumbledore, shows up unannounced, and the Lupins were super freaked out because they probably were like, whoa, you're not supposed to know this stuff about our son. But 5 minutes later, he was eating crumpets and playing gobstones with Remus by the fire.
Crumpets are so good. I want a crumpet.
Yes, Ezra.
Did Dumbledore actually know?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
Sure.
he had heard of what happened.
He'd been following the rumors,
Wow.
I believe.
Mm-hmm.
What a good man.
Yep.
I mean, what a good guy.
Well, in this situation, I'll
Don't
say
you
he's
Debatable.
amazing.
In this situation, he's amazing. He has a little bit too much faith whenever he tries to reach out and do this with Tom Riddle earlier in his life. So that's questionable, but
Yeah.
he tries to help people, sometimes a little too much and with too many secrets, but he does try.
And this was one big secret,
Yeah.
dude.
This is one big secret. This is right up Dumbledore's alley, let's be real. He's keeping a secret from
He's like,
people.
wait, you have a were-child? I got this. We'll plant a big tree that beats people up, sneak them out once
It's
a
one of
month.
those
It's
things-
good.
It's just like, oh, hold my beer. Watch this.
Hold my butterbeer.
Hold my butter.
Yeah.
So, quote from, I believe, Pottermore. Remus's excitement was beyond anything he had known before. It was the dream of his life to meet other children and have, for the first time, friends and playmates. So here he is, lonely for 5-6 years. He can finally go and, like, be a real kid and, like, have a chance to
And then
live.
he finds, like, such good friends. Minus one. But, you know, he finds 2 really good friends.
You know, it's Remus's fault he kept him around,
I know.
because he's nice.
The
So, yeah,
three best
Ezra.
anyone could have, plus Peter.
Plus.
Yeah, so then we know all about the Marauders, which we will get into later in other chapters. Ezra, are you raising your hand?
Yeah, he was.
Well, I was just like, it seems like like Harry, you know, growing up had the same type of situation, right? Didn't have a lot of friends, wasn't able to kind of, you know, be a kid. And is that not
love
what Remus
that.
kind of went through too?
I love that comparison.
The
Yeah.
only difference
Yeah.
is that Harry didn't have a massive secret like that.
Yeah,
His
yeah,
Family was abusing him. That's a massive secret.
True.
yeah.
They just
I
were
think it's
suffering
interesting.
in different ways.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So that was me reining it in, because just wait to that Felix file.
Just you
Woo!
wait.
Guys, there's so much good information on Remus on Pottermore. Like, a lot.
Yeah.
Also,
She wrote a lot of extra content about him.
if you have any questions,
Well-
I'll be happy to answer any of them. Yes, he's the most attractive person in the Harry Potter series.
Come on. Come on.
Just saying.
I don't know. I love me some serious black man.
He is pretty attractive. I have to say that, okay, so a lot of people like to call Sirius a father figure to Harry, but I think, in all honesty, the best father figure to Harry was Remus.
I don't know if I'd say he's the best. He's the
Hagrid.
better out of the two of them.
Hagrid was a pretty good one.
Or Hagrid.
Yeah.
And I love me
Yeah.
some Remus, but I will say Hagrid was it.
I think
Amazing father
that
figure.
I'm just sad that Remus didn't have a chance to be more of one.
Dude, he would have been calling him
Yeah.
Uncle Mooney. Oh, would have
Would've
been
been
so
so
cute.
Yep.
I think it's interesting to point out too about Remus is in her like extra little books that she wrote, the ebooks, J.K. Rowling said that the werewolfness, the what is it called? Like I can't say it. Lycanthropy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is a metaphor for like the illnesses that carry a stigma, like
Yes.
HIV or AIDS.
Yep.
So I think that's really cool to relate that to people. Like when
Yeah.
you see that, I don't know.
I think
Yeah.
that also kind of stemmed his whole fan fiction world of being gay potentially as well. The fact that his sickness is related to AIDS.
Well, yeah, it's one of like, it's an example of like,
Yeah.
because when that first came out, like, if you know anything about Ryan White, the kid that contracted it from getting blood transfusions because he was a hemophiliac, I was just reading about him because he came up on my timeline on something, and they were literally afraid to have him go back to school when he was in high school because they were like, we're all going to get AIDS. They're like, that's not how it works. So, like, back when they didn't really know how the disease spread, and, you know, they think that just by breathing the same air, you're going to catch AIDS. Like, that's
Right.
not how it works. So,
It's just so
and even
sad.
now, like, when working in a hospital and they're like, oh, this patient has AIDS, it's like, all right, well, I'll make sure not to get their blood on me or like their bodily fluids. Like, you just have to be cautious, but you really need to be cautious with anybody because you don't know.
Right.
Universal
Yeah.
precautions. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
you don't treat them any different. At least I don't. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to.
I think the super sad thing too is like even at the end of this book, like, you know, the kids know him, they respect him throughout this whole year, they love him.
And
at
he
the end,
still feels the need to leave.
well, that and at the end, you know, it comes out in the Shrieking Shack that he is a werewolf, and Ron was like, "Get away from me!"
Oh,
Yeah.
I know.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's just
Yeah.
such a stigma, and like also Hagrid being a half giant, such a stigma to where Ron's like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, that's kind of not good to get out," you know? And like people
Yeah.
would judge Hagrid even though he's literally a soft teddy bear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
The nicest dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ron is a little bit.
He comes around though.
He does.
If he comes around with spew, for God's sake, dude changed.
It is, but yeah.
I mean, again,
he's a
He's a product of his environment.
Prejudice.
I like that about him though because it shows that you can change if you're
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ezra, did you
For
have something?
sure.
Well, yeah. Well, with Ron, I think it's sort of like he's that lens that that JK's teaching us through, right? Is that like you said, he can change, and like we all are kind of, when something new crops up, a disease or whatever, we don't understand it, we kind of think the worst, things.
Right. Right.
So he's just sort of saturated with that, wizarding world, society, cultural influence, and so
Yeah.
he's heard about the giants, he's heard about werewolves, and so it's a neat little contrast between him, and Hermione and Harry, who didn't grow up around, all of those stories and things.
Yeah, so they don't even know the stigmas to have prejudice against anybody.
Right. Yeah.
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 So-
I like that. I
Cool.
just love him so much.
She really does. I don't know if anybody truly understands Katie's passion for Remus Lupin.
It goes deep.
Like, if Taylor Swift came to the door, Megan would leave, right? We all know this. If Remus Lupin came to the door, Katie would be already in the car with him. Like, come on, I'm in the car. Like, let's go.
The car, we would just apparate right there. What are you talking about?
Oh my
Come on,
god.
Katie,
kidding,
keep
babe,
girls
I
there
love
to
you.
get you.
This is getting
Don't, Megan,
Hot and
do not roll
sweaty.
Your eyes, because you would totally leave if Taylor Swift
Meg,
came to the door and was
I
like,
would take
"Marry
you
me,
with me."
divorce
I
your
don't know.
wife."
Well, by the time this episode comes out, I could be gone because we're seeing her
my
on Saturday.
Meg, I knew you were trouble.
Before I
No.
walked in or after?
Jesus.
Alrighty, let's talk some defense. Now that we know about Lupin, let's talk about the class that he teaches now.
Let's talk about how he's a boss.
So, if you remember the last 2 years of defense, we didn't really see a class freshman year. First year of defense, but like second year was pretty boring, minus the whole pixie incident in the beginning of the year. So when the class walks in and Lupin is like, all right, everybody put your books away. Today's a practical lesson. All you need is your wands. They were all just kind of like, what? This is amazing. So they had never had a practical defense against the dark arts class before this. Lupin actually takes them out of the classroom because they have to go and find what they're going to learn about. And I wish that they had done this in the movies. I just really... So Peeves comes into play here, and I know that we all know Peeves is not in the movies, which is really unfortunate. But their banter here is just hilarious. So they're going down the corridor, and they run into Peeves, who Lupin can see stuffing gum into a keyhole of a classroom. And he starts yelling, "Loony Loopy Lupin." Remus doesn't seem to care at all. And he's just like, Peeves, I would take that gum out so Filch can get to his broom so he doesn't get mad.
Mm-hmm.
And Peeves just blows a wet raspberry at him, and Lupin tells the class to watch closely and says, "Wadiwasi." And the gum shoots out of the keyhole with the force of a bullet straight down Peeves' left nostril. And I like Dean's remark. He's just like, "Cool, sir." That just made me laugh.
This just shows he's a boss.
Yeah.
He's so boss. So, yes, Sarah.
Do you think that he did this when they were back in school? I have this written in my book. I'm like, I wonder if they were like,
for sure,
made that up and like blah 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 did this stuff back then.
Yeah.
I always wondered if Wadawasi was like a Marauder's spell, kind of like how Sectum Sempra is a Snape spell.
I was trying to look up Wadawasi a little bit, and I think Latinly, it's like whatever, go there. It's like a go there spell. So either I think it's the
So
wasi
no matter what
part.
you pointed at.
So he said wad, wad of gum, wasi, wad, go there. So you could say like robe wasi, and it would like pack into your trunk or something. That's a horrible way to explain it, but that's generally how I saw
Robawasi.
Can you say that with a person?
If I say pastawasi into my stomach, will I eat the pasta?
That's the name of the episode. Pastawasi. Okay.
Oh God. Okay, so they go down the hallway. Let's see. They set off to another classroom, and Professor Lupin. Hold on, I lost mine. Okay, they went into the staff room because that is where a Boggart was. But everybody is gone out of the staff room except for Snape, which
You didn't read it how it's typed.
Oh, empty except for Snape-a-lape. Katie added that. So Snape goes to leave and turns on his heel at the doorway and says, "Possibly no one's warned you, Lupin, but this class contains Neville Longbottom. I would advise you not to entrust him with anything difficult, not unless Miss Granger is hissing instructions in his ear."
Wow.
Just makes me
What a
so
dick.
mad. So now, not only is Snape stunting his growth in potions,
And
but
bullying him.
he's stunting his growth in defense against the dark arts, which is ridiculous. But Professor Lupin to the rescue isn't going to play his little game. So he is like, "Come on, Neville, you're first up. Like, I'm going to help you. You're going to be first," which I think is amazing. He just immediately wants to instill confidence in Neville because we know that Remus knows that Snape is a bully because he was part of that little group in Hogwarts years for them. Not that Lupin was in the right during that time either, but he knows how Snape is, so... Okay. Yes.
I just think it's amazing. I just have to say this right now while you're talking about Lupin and Snape. Like, Lupin has, all this stuff going on with him when he's younger, turns into a werewolf, all this kind of stuff. But he's such a confident person.
Yeah.
He's so confident. And, like, I think Snape overcompensates for his lack of, like you said, confidence and just, all the baggage he has or whatever. It's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's strikingly different, And the kids, like, admire him. They look up to Lupin because he's just such a boss. He's so cool, And I'm serious. I'm with Kate. It's just like such.
I think that Lupin's confidence really came from James and Sirius. I don't think that Lupin would be who he is today without having those two as friends. He would have probably been very shy, very reserved, very introverted. He never would have come out of his shell.
It is said, like, when they meet, that James and Sirius were quickly, like, attracted to him because he had a quiet sense of humor.
Yeah.
So they, like, took that part... Well, yeah. They took that part of him and, like, made it come to the forefront, too.
Right.
Like, you're not just going to be a wallflower.
Yeah.
You're funny. You're part of our group. You're cool.
Yeah, but was he was still kind of reserved with them, too, wasn't he? He kind of reserved himself.
To them, for sure.
Compared to
give
them,
him the mother status of the...
Yeah, he's kind of motherly.
I think that when you have those two big, like, James and Sirius are big personalities.
Yeah.
So, like, Remus is like, I'm just going to let them do their thing, but, like, I'll add in my funny bits where you're not expecting him to say a little nugget of wisdom,
I feel like Remus was that, like, extra punch of witty whenever they would, like, when they were together. It would be like, it's all James and Sirius, but then, like, here comes Remus out of nowhere with, like, something funny.
A little zing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Neville is going to help Lupin first, which I think is important, like I said. Do you think that he really was going to have Neville be first, but then Snape was a jerk, so he kind of, like...
No, I bet you I think because Snape said something, he's like, you know what, I'm going to make sure, like, you come here, I'm going to make sure you do well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're my number one bro.
Yeah. So the wardrobe in the staff room has a Boggart, which Sarah is going to go more in-depth about, so I'm not going to go too in-depth about what a Boggart is. Yes.
Should we call it what it's called now, thanks to Katie?
What?
She was, when we were texting earlier, it auto-corrected to Big Gary, and I didn't know what she meant. I was almost crying. I was laughing.
Big Gary the Boggart.
Big Gary. Big Gary the Boggart.
So, just like super short summary, a Boggart's basically a shapeshifter. It changes into what your worst fear is.
So, Jacob Black.
What?
Wow.
Oh. No, because, well, he's a shapeshifter, yes. Not a werewolf. Twilight fans. He is not a werewolf.
Oh my god, let's move on.
He's a shapeshifter. So, Hermione...
Shapeshifter.
So, Lupin asks if anybody knows what is in the wardrobe, and Hermione knows. She says...
Narnia.
Yeah.
It's Narnia. That's where Aslan is.
The Boggart's actually named Big Aslan.
Yep.
Jeez, so many fandoms going in here. So many fandoms.
So, what is the advantage of a Boggart? There are so many of them.
What's their advantage to the Boggart?
Oh, right. That's what I meant. I'm sorry. What's the class's advantage is that there's so many of them, the Boggart won't know what shape to take because it's going to come out and it's going to be so overwhelmed by all these people, it's not going to know whose fear to turn into. So they all practice the spell together, which is ridiculous.
This class is
ridiculous. We've seen this movie a time or two.
And then, so Remus asks Neville what his greatest fear is, and it's Snape. That just makes me so sad. Yeah.
I have to say, shout out to him for actually saying that in class.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
It's super brave of him, because he's an actual Gryffindor, for anyone who denies it. Like, it's super brave of him to, like, admit it in front of all these people.
Yep.
And I actually really hate that the class laughs. But like nearly everybody laughs whenever he says it, and it's like that's just sad.
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
greatest fear is a teacher.
Crazy thing I just realized now, though, when I was reading this as a 13-year-old, I laughed.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking, that poor kid.
I know.
Yeah. Perspective, man.
Perspective.
Yes, Ezra.
Well, there's different types of laughter. So I almost wonder if it wasn't like a sympathy laugh too. It could have been something where they were maybe not everybody in the room, obviously. There were some who were actually laughing at him, but you can imagine like a nervous laugh, like because he just said a teacher. Another teacher is his greatest fear in front of another teacher. It's like, oh, okay, wow, Neville.
Yeah.
I will say, agreeing with Ezra, I laugh at everything. So regardless if it's like funny, sad,
I do
I'm
too.
nervous,
Yeah.
whatever, awkward situations, I'm always
But
laughing.
it is sad. It's sad.
For sure.
I find it interesting that Lupin, well, not interesting, I guess a little bit funny, that Lupin immediately is thoughtful as soon as Neville says this, and he's like, how can I work with this? Like, what a perfect situation, really, for Lupin.
This kid just gave me gold.
And I want to be careful with this because this is a form of bullying on Lupin's part, and I'm gonna put that out there and say it. I will say that I still kind of think it's a little funny. I'm sorry. It's a little bit funny that he forces him to come out in a dress. But it is bullying, both on Lupin's part.
Like,
I know,
I don't. Is he gonna, I think it's a tricky situation. I agree.
It is.
It is a little mean and bullying on his part.
Yeah.
Especially in front of all those other kids, because he's also kind of demeaning this teacher.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have a lot to work with. Like, what do you do?
How do you make that funny? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you make that
He
funny?
didn't know Neville was gonna say Snape.
This is true.
Yeah, he had
this
no
is
idea.
true. But he was like, "Oh, this is good." I mean, that's what Lupin was thinking. Yes.
I just had the saddest thought. I wonder if he was like, oh my god, James and Sirius, probably not Sirius, but James would be dying right now. I wonder if that thought went through his head. Sorry to be the biggest Debbie Downer ever. But he's probably thinking oh, my friend who's dead. He probably would have really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So he immediately asks. I think he probably knows. I would assume he knows Neville's situation because he was around for the last order. He was in it, so he knows what happened to Alice and Frank Longbottom. Okay. So that's why he asks, "Do you live with your grandmother?" And he says yes. Nervously, he says yes. And then says, "But I don't want the Boggart to turn into her either."
I love that.
But that's not Remus's plan. He asks what Neville's grandmother usually wears. And he says a tall hat with a stuffed vulture on top, a long green dress, sometimes a fox fur scarf, and a big red handbag. So the plan is to have the Boggart Snape wear Neville's grandmother's clothes, which is just...
Sorry.
It's just, it's genius. Yes.
I need to give a shout out to Alan Rickman here playing
Oh my
Boggart
God.
Snape. Oh my god, every time I watch it and he does that thing where he kind of turns and looks at himself and is so confused, it's amazing. It's
He
perfect.
does so good. He
Blows
does
my
so good.
mind.
We'll run out for Alan.
Yep.
Yeah. Sarah's gonna go into more of everybody else's fears, so we're just gonna talk about Neville, but everyone takes a turn facing the Boggart after that, so it gets confused more and more and more. However, right when it's Harry's turn, Lupin jumps in front of him. It turns into a silvery white orb.
What could that be?
What is that?
A balloon.
Yeah.
I just don't like them.
And I love that it says Neville finishes off the Boggart with a great ha of laughter, and it explodes into 1,000 tiny wisps of smoke.
When I read this, I'm like, yes!
I know.
Yeah.
So that right there is the perfect example of great teaching. All Lupin had to do was instill confidence in Neville, and he is the one that finished the Boggart off. What a good story. It did involve a little bit of bullying on Lupin's part, but honestly, guys, what else could you do that wouldn't have been bullying to make Snape be funny?
For the greater good?
It's for the greater good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ezra.
Does he actually kill the Boggart thing? Like, is it actually gone?
Yeah.
Dead?
Well,
Yeah.
boggarts are not a living thing.
Okay.
But you'll hear about this when I talk.
Okay.
We're gonna get to that, as don't jump ahead.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, I have
Yeah.
another fun fact. Go ahead.
So Lupin dishes out points to everybody because he's super awesome. He wants to make everybody feel good after his lesson. I think this is, again, partially, though, he likes to be liked.
That's his biggest weakness.
That's probably that's his biggest weakness. He will do anything to be liked because he went through such a period of time where he was so lonely and he couldn't. It's not that nobody liked him, but nobody could like him because nobody even knew him. So, so he dishes out points to everybody. And then as they leave, everyone's talking excitedly. And Ron says it was the best defense against the dark arts lesson they've ever had. Mm-hmm. And then Lavender Brown wonders why Lupin is afraid of crystal balls. Harry
It's a
can't...
bright one.
Juan. Harry can't stop wondering why Lupin stopped him. But I question why Harry really even questions that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, you really think that... I mean, what does he think his Boggart's going to turn into? A spider? I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Harry. I love him.
Yeah.
Harry. Well, you know what? Harry's pride was hurt here, you know? Like, he's already super embarrassed because Malfoy's bringing this up constantly. So this is on his mind.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. So he's kind of contemplating, like, oh, maybe it was because Lupin saw me collapse on the train. He thought that he wasn't up to it. He thought Harry might pass out again. Which, in all actuality, if it had turned into a Dementor, Harry probably would have passed out again.
Maybe part of Harry wonders if he isn't up to it. Maybe he's questioning his own magic right now because these things are happening to him and not to other people.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know anything about these Dementors, really.
Yeah.
Or his own past, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. And then Hermione is upset. Herm is upset. She didn't get to take a turn, and Ron sniggers, what would it have been for you? A piece of homework that only got 9 out of 10.
Well, doesn't in the end of the book when they're doing their like final exam, it's McGonagall telling her she failed everything, so he's not wrong.
I know. It's
She
so
comes
funny.
out crying.
And actually, that she didn't finish that final, right? Didn't she not finish it? I'm pretty sure that she got so upset she couldn't.
I can't remember.
She couldn't.
I think it took her a while to calm down.
I think
for sure.
she really needed to be calmed down.
Because defense was always Hermione's not least favorite class, but it's the one she did the worst in. Worst meaning like not an O but an E. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's get deep and sweaty into these Boggarts, Sarah.
Okay, so I looked up some information on the Boggart. So there's a couple articles on Pottermore talking about them. So they're shape-shifting creatures, and they will assume the form of whatever is most frightens the person who encounters it. So no one really knows what a Boggart looks like. If there's no one there to see it, they, can't see what it is. So it usually gives evidence it's there by rattling, shaking, or scratching the object where it's hiding. It likes confined spaces, but it can also be found in woods and around shadowy corners. Yes, Megan.
Do they ever say if Moody can see a Boggart?
No. But I was going to talk about that because how interesting is it that Molly sends him up there to look, and he's like, yep, it's a Boggart. Like, so is he the only person that knows what one really looks like? Because does it see him? I don't know.
I would assume it does not see him, so it's got to just be in whatever
it's got to stay in it. Yeah. And it says the more fearful the person is, the more susceptible they are to Boggarts. Muggles can see them or can feel their presence as well. They may even glimpse them, but they don't really see them clearly, so they can convince themselves that it was a figment of their imagination.
Oh my god, maybe that's why I see spiders out of the corner of my eye all the time. Just little mini Boggarts everywhere.
Muggles don't notice nothing, do they?
Alright, no Muggle.
So it is not and has never been truly alive. They are the strange non-beings that populate the magical world, like a poltergeist, for example. They can be made to disappear, but more will inevitably arrive to take their place. And then also, like poltergeists and dementors, they seem to be generated and sustained by human emotions. So getting rid of a boggart can be tricky because it involves making the creature into a figure of fun, so the fear is dispelled in amusement. Now, if the caster can laugh out loud at it, it disappears at once. So ridiculous is a spell used to transform the boggart into something less threatening and hopefully something funny. So some information on the fact file. So we know its true shape is unknown, but Moody possibly had seen it. It changes into what the person fears most. So Professor Remus Lupin, instructed the third years in Prisoner of Azkaban on how to repel the creature using ridiculous. And he uses the boggart to help Harry learn how to defend himself against the Dementors using the Patronus charm. And says, although a boggart is never seen, the visual effects designers still needed to create a transformation. Nope, that's not what that says. To create the transition from the scary version to the laughable version, which they interpreted as a swirling tornado of the boggart's fearful and funny forms. That's from like kind of behind the scenes, which I thought was really cool.
That is neat.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to see if there was like any kind of history on boggarts, like in actual real time life. And I'm pulling from Wikipedia, so because I tried to search it and I looked for in a book and I lost the book. Long story short, whatever. So on the Wikipedia, it says boggart is one of the numerous related terms used in English folklore for either a household spirit or a malevolent being, and it's inhabiting fields, marshes, or other topographical features. It also goes by like bug, I'm gonna get this wrong, bugbear, boogie, the boogeyman, stuff like that. And it causes mischief and things to disappear, milk to sour, dogs to go lame. I just think it's cool that there's actually like history, and it's in some books as well. Farmer and the Boggart, which is cool. There's a Boggart or a boogie in the Chronicles of Narnia because we were just talking about that. And then Susan Cooper has the Boggart and the Boggart and the Monster, which is cool. That's some fun things. Interesting. And then to talk about the fears, so Neville's fear is Snape, and then we see him turning into Snape wearing his grandmother's clothes. And there's a cool picture. I mean, and we all got to see it from the movie as well, but there's a picture on Pottermore, which we'll post, of Snape's wearing Neville's grandmother's clothing. And then we see Pavarti's next, and she has a fear of a mummy, so it's blood-stained and bandaged. It's walking towards her, dragging its feet with its arms up, as you like can see. That's very much like how I feel movies and media and stuff portray mummies. Not that they're actually real, but that's how I see them.
Yeah.
So she does ridiculous, and it starts to unravel, and head falls off. There's also a picture of Pottermore of a mummy coming out of the wardrobe, which I thought is cool. And then Seamus, his fear is a banshee, and it's described in the book as a woman with floor-length hair and a skeletal green-tinged face. And she opens her mouth and she starts to shriek, and then he does ridiculous and she loses her voice. And I
That's actually really great.
Cool. Yeah. I think know like more about banshees because I heard about them growing up because it's like an Irish folklore kind of thing. So I try to look it up and find like the easiest thing. So on Merriam, Megan.
I just want to say it's really interesting that that's Seamus's fear because he's Irish.
So on Merriam-Webster.com, the definition of a banshee is a female spirit in Gaelic folklore whose appearance or wailing warns a family that one of them will soon die.
That's so scary.
So I think that's cool that like I like the fact, like Megan pointed out, that we know that Seamus is Irish. And he is fearful of like a banshee, which it's an Irish folklore kind of thing, which, you know, full circle, friends, full circle.
She thinks of everything. She like makes connections with the weirdest things.
Mm-hmm. And then the boggart gets confused, and it turns into a rat, then a rattlesnake, and then a single bloody eyeball. And then Dean steps up, and it turns into a severed hand, flips over, and it starts to crab crawl on the floor. And then he it gets trapped in the mouse trap after he uses Ridiculous. And then Ron leaps forward, and it turns into a huge spider because, come on, we all know what was going to happen. And it's 6 feet tall, covered in hair. It's got its little pincers. And he does the spell, and it loses its legs, and then Lavender's like, ah! And then, yes, Megan.
I was just going to say that in the book, I love that the Boggart turns into a lot more magical things than it does in the movie. Like, the movie, they kind of just picked, Ron, is a spider.
Clowns.
Pavarti was a snake, and then it turned into a clown face,
yeah.
which, like, that one
It's
never
still
made
scary.
sense to me. It is,
Yeah, I just thought of the clown before the snake
Right.
because that's scarier to me.
And, like, I don't remember any. I don't remember some of the other ones, but it's just, like, I wish that they would have done a banshee or a mummy or...
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they didn't do the mummy and the severed hand because it would have, like, upped the rating because of blood or something like that. I don't know, but I just...
You already have Dementors.
There
Just
was-
take the blood out. It's already scary
There
enough.
was potential.
Yeah.
There was potential. I do
Dementors,
know
Dementors.
that, like, having blood like that does potentially up the rating because I remember when Deathly Hallows was coming out, the trailer was released, and there was that scene with Hermione, and her hands were up, and her hands were covered in blood.
Oh yeah.
And that only came out for a very short period of time. And then all of a sudden, a new trailer was released, and it was Hermione, and her hands didn't have blood on them anymore because they weren't allowed to show that in a trailer because trailers are not rated. So they had to get rid of the blood on her hands for the trailer.
Wow.
So that could be why, but I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Do you guys have any lightning bolt questions?
Oh,
I do.
Megan.
You're gonna take mine. I know you are.
What would your Boggart turn into?
Oh, no.
And
Don't. You can only ask one.
no, it's a
No.
two-part question. What would your Boggart turn into, and what would you turn it into with ridiculous?
Can I go first?
Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Florence, and I turn her back into Sarah.
Yeah,
I wrote-
like, what? Wait, can you please try to do Florence's voice for everyone?
Florence and that stuff. I don't even know what you say.
I have to pee so bad. I'm gonna pee my pants.
I could do a better one later.
No, I doubt it.
Oh,
Why
Uh,
does Florence scare you? Why is that your biggest fear?
I just thought
So
it was
much more
funny.
popular
I don't know.
than you?
No, I
thought
mean
it was
Florence
funny.
is just to see somebody possessed and taken over by something each and every week on the show is frees me.
I'm not possessed every day.
I mean, some days you wake up and you wonder if it's Sarah or Florence that's waking up. Like, does it ever happen to you?
Well, Florence is not my oldest personality. That would be Suzanne.
Okay.
So, if anyone, it's probably Suzanne coming out. That's crazy. I sound insane.
That's great. All right, who's next?
Megan. I don't know what my greatest fear is.
Mine would definitely turn into a snake, but I'm having a real hard time coming up with something funny.
I'm trying.
A
I'll
pool
try to think of
noodle.
something for you.
A pool noodle. That's good.
Or just a regular noodle.
Oh yeah, I would do a regular
It
noodle.
just becomes a plate of spaghetti.
It could become a fettuccine noodle. I don't know. Angel hair pasta. I love me some angel hair pasta.
I
I'm
want
having
some pasta.
trouble with mine because my greatest fear is spiders. And that's what Ron's turns into. So all I'm picturing is like it wearing roller skates or its legs coming off like it does in the movie, but I can't think of my own.
It could turn into one of those koozie balls with all of like the legs that stick out all over. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. I was gonna say it gets tangled up in its web, but yours is way better.
I don't know. I don't think my greatest fear is like I think it's more of like not obtaining. Like, how he was saying Hermione's would be like failing everything. Mine wouldn't be like, I don't know. Like, I've not encountered like an animal that terrifies me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like spiders. I don't like all these bugs, whatever. But I'm not terrified of them.
Sarah's fearless.
I'm not fearless. Sure. I mean, let's be honest. I'm the person that the ocean terrifies me.
I don't
And
like
like
the ocean either.
space terrifies me. And this sounds ridiculous, but giant objects terrify me. Like the fact that I know that the traffic light is like way bigger than it looks because it's far away freaks me out.
If mine wasn't gonna turn into an animal, it would be something with like heights. I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
But like when people show, like if you've ever watched
Heights
Titanic,
with no boundaries. That scares me.
yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Like when you see like sunken ships and they show them like what they look like underwater, it freaks me out. I'm getting goosebumps right now. I don't like it.
Totally agree.
I have weird fears, all right? I have weird fears.
I get it.
Another one of mine is like I'm slightly claustrophobic. It really freaks me out to like think of like okay, I'm speaking like we just went into these caverns this weekend. So like you would think that would scare me, but what I'm thinking is like tight spaces where like I literally get stuck in something and I can't get out. That terrifies me. And I'm trying to think of a really good example, but like I can't right now. Like I get severe anxiety when I'm like clothes shopping and I pick something that's a size too small and then I can't get out of it when I'm in the dressing room. like that. Like it's like real anxiety. I'm like, get this thing off of me. Like get it off of me now. And that's like how I feel in the dressing room while I'm trying to get it off. I don't know. It's really weird.
I will tell
really
you, like,
weird fear.
In some haunted houses where like they have the bit where like the sides are all blown up and you have to walk through. I hate that.
Yes.
And like that's the only part. Like now as a grown up, haunted houses don't scare me at all because I'm like, I know the whole thing is designed for people to pop out and be like, ah! I'm like, all right, cool. I know you're coming, whatever. But like when the walls, like they're puffed out, so you're squeezed in it like those.
Yes.
I don't like it. So I have to I typically make someone hold on to me anyways when I'm in one. So like I'm grabbing onto the person behind me and I typically have the hand or, I'm grabbed onto like the shirt of the person behind me. So like in front and behind.
Yeah.
So I like, no, I don't like it. Like that claustrophobicness, I hate.
Same.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds like you're still scared of haunted houses, honestly.
No, that's the only part. Like if the haunted house, like I can walk through it.
I have another one.
It's okay. You can admit it. It's okay.
I have another fear. Okay, so Katie, Sarah, and I always do this corn maze every fall. It's kind of like a tradition.
Did you do it? Like...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did.
I'm glad we made some good memories.
Well, no one fell in the mud or peed their pants that time, so...
But the one year we did it, we didn't bring a flashlight. And the whole idea that I was like in this corn maze, I couldn't see the map, I had no idea where I was, I started freaking out.
I remember the second year, I almost had a panic attack in there because we were so lost, and I was like,
I don't know where we are. I feel like we're walking in circles. I have no idea how to get out. Like that, like it's just panic. I think basically what this is coming down to is I have anxiety.
Who doesn't nowadays? I know I have crazy anxiety.
Yeah.
All right, Ezra. Besides Florence, what else do you have? Fear.
Yeah, you need to give us a real answer. That's a cop out answer.
Oh, was it? Yeah. Let's see. Fears for me.
Are you gonna get scared if Florence talks for the rest of the episode?
Yeah, I might actually. I'll see you guys. I'm out of here. I can't handle this. No. Sharks. Everything in the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh my god, me too. I can't believe that I didn't come up with that as my answer. The ocean freaks me out.
You know what freaks me out, speaking of the ocean? When people, like, talk about wanting to, like, go swim with dolphins, I'm like, there's nothing I'd rather do. No, thank you. No, I don't want to even, I don't like it.
No, it's crazy. I mean, I can't remember if I was 8 or 9, and I'm out Virginia Beach. And I'm actually going out there further and further, had good experiences with the ocean. Youngster at this time. I turn around. I'm pretty far out there, getting close to the buoy. And I turn back around and I see like 5 fins just going within 10 feet of me. And I'm like, what? Like, I just lost it. I lost my mind. And I take off back into the shore. And I'm crying. I'm crying. I'm like losing my mind, like literally. And I get about 20 feet, forward. My sister's standing there. I'm like, run. And she's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I was like, sharks. I'm like yelling shark, and everyone's like, oh, look at dolphins! Look at the dolphins out there! I'm like losing my mind because I think they're sharks. I got all the way into the beach. I'm crying, and it's terrible.
I would have thought they were sharks.
I'll tell you another fear of mine. Speaking of things in water, and this is so stupid, but buoys freak me out. Like, I can't go near them. I remember, like, because we go to Lake Erie all the time, so we'd be like swimming, and we're like, let's swim out to the buoys, and I'd get maybe like 10 feet. I'm like, I have to turn around. I can't go by, because it'd be like, let's go touch it. No, it's giving me the heebie-jeebies right now. I don't like them. I don't. No.
Literally, the idea of swimming in the ocean makes me want to cry. I can't.
Yeah, I know it does.
Yeah.
I love it. I just like being in the water, even though it freaks me out. Once you get like too deep.
Put me in a pool. Put me in a pool with no fish,
Yep.
no sharks,
Where you can see everything. Yeah.
Sand that moves under your feet. No.
You can see everything in some oceans.
Yeah, but
I think in all
the feeling of like the tide with sand underneath me, I can't. I can't handle that. Because then I'm like, what if something's burrowed in the sand and then it eats me?
I can't handle.
God.
I can't swim, so anytime I'm in any body of water, pool, ocean, whatever, if I can't touch the bottom, instant panic.
Yeah.
Instant panic.
Yeah.
Hate it.
I will say, when we were kids, so I went to Lake Erie every single year of my life, and they used to talk about this thing called the undertow, and I thought that it was a monster. Because my mom was like, "You need to be careful. It can drag you under. Like 1 second you're there, the other second like the undertow's got you." Not knowing that was just like basically a current.
I totally understand that. That's so cute. But
and
like,
so I was like, "Oh my god, the undertow's gonna get us." Because like, unfortunately, we knew people who died because of it.
That's the best.
I remember
the undertow's gonna get me.
When we see the undertow, we say, "Heck no!"
Oh my god, Finding Dory.
Yeah.
Sarah, that's the
So
cutest, saddest
I'll still
thing
go
ever.
swimming in Lake Erie today. I'd love it. I like being in the water.
Yeah,
I like being by the water. I like hearing it. I like the sand-ish because it gets everywhere, so it's kind of a pain in the butt. But
Sometimes it's in your butt, you know.
yeah, literally, yeah. It gets everywhere. Growing up, when we would go to the beach, all I remember is we'd have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and you would try your hardest, but there was always sand in it.
Yep.
So it's not, if you didn't have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with sand, did you really eat one?
Nope.
I also just want to let everybody know who listens to our podcast that Shark Week is a nightmare for me.
But she always watches
believe
it, so don't listen to
How
anything
do you
she says.
Oh my
'Cause
god,
she's mad.
it gives me anxiety, but it's like that anxiety that like I have to have.
Oh my
And
god.
then it just like makes me want to cry when
It's
I
just
watch
such
it.
a thrill.
Why can't all animals in the ocean just be like dolphins? Or like
Well, apparently Ezra doesn't like them either.
Yeah.
manatees.
No. You know what also freaks me out? Like, you know when you go to like an aquarium or whatever and they have like the petting bit? I don't want to touch a stingray. No.
Oh, they're so cool.
Yeah.
No.
Stingrays are really soft and cute.
I won't lie. The only time I like fish is when it's on my plate and I'm about to eat it. So.
Guys, I hate the ocean so much I don't even eat things that swim in it.
I love me some fish. Love sushi. I like a good white fish. Like a tilapia is really good. I don't mind cod. I really like swordfish. Quite delicious.
My first venture into fish
Tuna.
is going to be getting fish and chips in the UK. That's going to be my first venture
so
into
jealous.
fish.
Fish and chips, there's nothing better. Well, which is a lie, but fish and chips are really good.
I hope I like it. We'll see.
You won't.
You'll like it. They're
You
good.
won't.
Batter them up.
Sarah knows
I guarantee
me.
you. Yeah, they're fried. So, do you like tartar sauce?
I don't know. Yeah, I do actually.
Just slather a lot of tartar sauce on there.
Aw,
And
tartar
just
sauce.
focus on the chips.
I will.
Focus on the chips.
I have a lightning bolt round question.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. What do you think a boggart looks like when nobody sees it?
I really think it's just a blob of magic.
I
of
kinda-
nothing.
It's like a gray whisper.
Yeah. I kind of
Yeah.
picture it like a wispy something. Like almost
Yeah.
a light,
Wisp.
almost not.
Like,
It's a whiz.
I did think of it. I think it kind of looks like the end of a Dementor's cloak.
Ooh. I like that. I agree.
Ezra, what do you think?
That's a great question. I have no idea. I was thinking this invisible kind of like misty, looking spirit thing. I don't know.
If it's invisible, can it look like mist?
Yeah, well, Katie. Oh, this wordplay
I'm not
over
the
here.
only one.
Oh.
I have
Whatever.
a question.
Yeah.
And I think I forgot it, so let me remember what my question was. Oh, do you think so? Like, I don't know if this was like a thing, but so when people are like more sad, like the world, do you think there's more Dementors? Do you think there's more Boggarts around when they like to feed off fear?
Well, if you think about it, during the Second Wizarding War, there kind of was a feeling of despair spreading across the country, and Dementors were breeding off of it.
Well, so do you think Boggarts were too?
I would think so.
Probably.
I'd imagine. Because there's
Yeah,
more
they're probably
fear.
part of
Yeah,
it.
there's more fear in the world.
I mean, war is a time of fear and depression. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Shout out to Big Gary, bringing everybody down.
Big Gary. Oh,
All right.
would we like to go on to our fan story?
It's kind of a long one, but it's worth it.
This is a long one, but I have not read it. This is my first time, so I'm sorry if I butcher it. But Meg says that it's a very good one. Not that any of them have been bad. They've all been amazing. Okay, so this week, the story comes from Lacey Michelle. So she says, "Hi, my name is Lacey Michelle, but you all might know me as the girl who makes Harry Potter mood boards in the group. By the way, they're all amazing.
They
Oh my
are.
god, they're so good.
Yeah.
They
I
like-
have mine printed out and framed it.
They legit give me feels. And she's made
Yeah.
me my own and then like a Remus one, and it's amazing. I actually have a long Potter story, but it has a very happy ending, so stick around. When I was in elementary school, I struggled with reading. I was very good at spelling, writing, and reading out loud, but I had an extremely difficult time understanding what I read, so I hated reading for fun. I barely scraped by in 2nd and 3rd grade with my hatred for reading, but when I got to 4th grade, I was told I wouldn't pass the class unless I got 17 accelerated reading points. When I made it close to the end of the year with barely any points, I decided I would read the book worth over 20 points so I could pass. You guessed it, it was Harry Potter. I hated the book. All these unnecessary words were all over the place. Nothing made sense to me. I was lost throughout most of the book, but I had at least managed to figure out the main concept. At one point, I actually started to like the book. It had magic, witches, fantastic creatures, Orbeez, and an enchanted mirror. The mirror scene was where I started to slow down and really concentrate. The scene with Harry looking in the mirror at his parents. It was the first time a book made me cry. I was 10 when I felt Harry's pain for the first time, but it wouldn't be the last. I couldn't imagine losing my parents or having my family broken up like he did. I rushed through the rest of the book to figure out if his parents were actually alive somewhere. When I realized they were really dead at the end, I hated the book again, but at least I learned enough to pass the accelerated reader test with enough points to pass 4th grade.
Yeah.
Little did I know that I would eventually become hooked just like all the other Swishers here. At one point during this Harry Potter madness and obsession, I turned 14 and some really heavy stuff happened. It changed me. I knew something was wrong with me, but I couldn't explain exactly what it was. I knew Harry battled outer demons. I read Dementors in my head. And villains, but here I was slowly being defeated by my own brain and heart. I knew it was depression, but it felt different from textbook depression. I had bouts of extreme hyperness and silliness. I was giddy on the outside, but inside I felt like dying. As more books came out and I realized there was a connection to Harry and Voldemort, I related to him more and more. It was as if I, too, had a scar connecting me to a villain that wasn't myself. I continued to escape into the wizarding world for comfort, hoping that if Harry could defeat his inner demons, I could too. 7 years later, some more heavy stuff happened. My sister and best friend went off to college. My mom left my dad, and my dad attempted suicide. My little brother lost a dangerous amount of weight because of the trauma. And when my dad returned from the mental hospital a week after the attempt on his own life, our family dog died, probably of a broken heart. I was devastated. My family was torn apart, and I felt like I was trying to hold on to each of them as they were going in different directions. I turned to my favorite series during this time and thought of the mirror again, wishing more than anything to waste away in front of it, reliving memories past. I ended up flunking out of college and started having panic attacks nearly every day. Sometimes I would gasp for air so long that my body would become numb and I would fall to the floor paralyzed. In those moments, I wished my heart would stop, but it was beating for another, my fiancé, Joe. In all the heartache, we figuratively lit our wands for a beacon of light and got married. Immediately after moving in together, our apartment felt empty, so we got a puppy. Our family still felt small, so we tried for a baby and failed for 2 years. After 2 miscarriages, we were about to give up when we were gifted with a sweet, red-headed baby boy. The joy still didn't keep depression at bay. My new family never erased the broken family I came from, and it never outshined the depression and mood swings. I also had postpartum depression for what seemed like forever, so I finally got help. I was finally diagnosed with bipolar disorder 1 at 26 years old, which in Harry Potter terms is like being on Felix Felicis while being surrounded by dementors. Giddy but depressing. I'll never forget what my therapist told me. She said bipolar 1 was dangerous because people don't recognize you're sad. She said I had high-functioning depression and anxiety because I was always there. It was always there under the surface, but no one noticed because I looked happy on the outside. She warned me that I am in the category of people who kill themselves, and other people would say, but she was so happy. I thought of Harry Potter going to die for his friends. I always thought I would be doing my friends and family a huge service by getting rid of myself like Harry sacrificed himself in the war. Like killing myself was going to make the world a better place. But then I thought of my toddler. Suddenly, I was Lily Potter, not Harry. I would do anything for my son, even die to protect him, but I remembered myself at 10 years old, reading the first Harry Potter book and weeping at a fictional child losing his mother, both of us hoping that she was still alive. I never, ever want my child to be in that situation, and I never want my family torn apart like mine was. So despite being a die-hard Ravenclaw, I summoned a lot of courage that day and decided to become someone new. I decided to stay alive even through all the hardship. I decided to become the girl who lived. 1 year after I got out of the hospital, a year full of self-love and recovery, I discovered Swish and Flick. I just randomly decided to be a podcast listener and search for Harry Potter stuff. If I would have known a year ago that clicking on that listen button would have led me to 4 beautiful souls that would change my life, I would have had a hard time believing it. But now I have a whole new family. Tiffany, Katie, Megan, Sarah, thank you all so much for helping me remain the girl who lived and for sparking my love. You guys are going to make me cry.
No, because I'm already crying.
I think that's why, because we're both crying.
Ooh, I was holding it together there. All right. Thank you all so much for helping me remain the girl who lived and for sparking my love of Harry Potter all over again. Thank you for all the hard work on the podcast. I can't read this. Whew. And for creating a platform that would provide me with so much love and support and varying perspectives on a fandom I love. And finally, thank you for being amazing friends to me during these past few months. You made my birthday very special with your quote-unquote owl deliveries. Each of you reflects exactly all the good things from your Hogwarts houses, and just wow. Thank you for spreading all the love and joy in this crazy world. I love you guys. Woo! Lacey, we love you too.
This is the first episode we're all crying.
I've literally never cried on an episode before.
Welcome to my life. I cry all the time.
Yeah.
Oh.
Meg, you could have warned me, but you didn't. Just letting me read. Whew, Lacey.
You're amazing.
Thank
Lacey.
you. Yeah, you're amazing. That super touched my heart.
Yep.
You're amazing because you fought through what you fought through. I love the parallels you pulled from the book. I love the strength they gave you. And I love you. And I think you're a hell of a more of a Gryffindor than you think you are, because that was very brave to share this story. And to be that honest and open about it.
Yeah. Because I don't know if you realize by sharing a story like that, you could help a lot of other people. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that there are other people maybe who are listening that can pull strength from your story. And we really appreciate you reaching out and wanting us to share this.
Yeah, honestly.
You're amazing. I freaking love you.
Yeah.
I third that. Third that? Third or nothing.
And I know that Tiffany isn't on this episode, but
I guarantee you she's going to listen to this and she's going to cry.
You know what? I'm not telling her about this because you didn't tell me or warn me about this. She could cry too. No, but honestly, thank you so very much. We love you. Yeah. We love all of our listeners. You're all amazing. You bring each your own amazing thing to our lives.
I don't know if our listeners really truly understand or comprehend how much they mean to us, because I feel like a lot of them think that it's the other way around, and that we might mean a lot to them, but you guys mean just as much to us.
Well, and it's great that they're all willing to like be there for each other too.
Yes.
You know, like when stuff happens in their lives, everyone's so quick to send like a loving note or just being like, I'm there for you. And I know that Lacey's even put that out there too. Like, you need a friend to talk to, I'm here, which is amazing.
Yeah. Whew.
Go ahead, Ez.
Well, I just wanted to say that, thanks for this podcast to you three and to Tiffany, because I actually am a fan myself, and that's really how I started, was sitting down in Sarah's basement, listening to you guys record all this. And then when the group came along, I would sit over with Matt and my other friends and just in amazement, like the love and the community that you guys have. And so, I mean, just so you know, from, a fan of the show, we do, kind of feel your guys' love and support. And, what I see every day, you guys get on there and lift people up and talk to each other. And you guys are, huge in our lives, I consider myself a member of the group and somebody who I don't always jump in and participate as much as I'd like to, but I'm just overwhelmed by all the, love and support that's out there in your guys' group. It's amazing. And this story is moving and powerful. So keep doing what you're doing, because it's amazing.
We love you, Ezra.
Thanks, Ez.
I love you guys.
Thank you.
You're all right.
Thanks, Sarah.
Oh, man.
Lacey, you're just amazing.
Yeah.
I love you.
Your parallel of you being Lily is 1,000% accurate in, not the fact that she left her son, obviously, but the fact that she would do anything for her son.
Mm-hmm.
And
she never wanted her son to feel like Harry feels.
And Nolan is adorable.
So cute.
And he deserves a mom like that, and you bring that to him, so don't ever forget that.
Yeah. I agree.
We love you.
So, on that note,
are we actually signing off, or are we having Tiffany's like voice?
Are we gonna plug our other projects,
yeah,
Katie?
we have other projects, Kate.
I'm sorry. I totally skipped that. And it's even in yellow.
Yeah, I know. Tiffany's going.
Gone. The whole thing falls apart.
She's probably thinking that as we do this episode. Leave them once.
Tiffany is going to end the episode for us, so you guys
Okay.
have that to look forward to. But quickly, Katie and I have another podcast. If you guys are fans of Disney, we have Grown Up Kids, a Disney podcast. We're doing a chronological watch of Disney films. We're currently in the 50s, so that's pretty exciting.
Did Alice in Wonderland.
We just did Alice in Wonderland. It's a really good episode. It comes out the same day that this episode comes out. And you can find us on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, and Spotify.
Yup.
We're on social media at Grown Up Kids Pod.
Mm-hmm. We're also trying to reboot our YouTube channel. So Main Street 9 3/4. You can follow us on our hometown adventures on our YouTube page. So check that out. Sarah? Ez?
I like to go last. He has to go before me.
Ezra?
As you can plug.
Oh, well, I just want to say thanks again for letting me be on, this week. I mean, I'm not Tiffany. I'm just a humble Hufflepuff, right? I mean, so I could never absolutely, she brings such a character and charisma and stuff to the show. I love the four of you guys together is like perfect. It's perfection. So that should never change.
Well, there's no such thing as perfect, but thank you.
Well, all right. Go ahead and take it. But no, I am very happy that you guys allowed me to be on. And full disclosure too, I had like my face is super numb right now from talking because of the surgery that I had. So Sarah and these guys know that I had a surgery earlier this week, and so I might not have had all the energy that I normally would have. So we'll be better next time. But just thanks again for letting me be on. And I listen every week, and you guys are amazing. So, but yeah, I do a couple other projects. Just like a Lord of the Rings project with my good buddy Lane, and an unexpected podcast. Well, I can't even spit it out. Up Talking Tolkien. I say it every week on that show. And we just go over, we're doing a reread of the Lord of the Rings series. I think Megan's actually reading along with us sometime here and there. Meg, hopefully.
Yeah, I am. I'm still on Fellowship, but I'm slowly trudging through.
Okay. It's a good podcast. You guys should listen to them.
It is a really good podcast. And what I did, so if anybody else wants this idea, I downloaded the audiobook because I literally have zero extra time to sit down and read anymore. I just don't. I have so many projects going on. I can't do it at work. And I have an hour commute every day. So I got the audiobook of Lord of the Rings, and I listened to a chapter, and then I switched to Up Talkin' Tolkien, and I listened to that episode regarding that chapter.
You're amazing.
It's good. It works out very well. And I also really love the guy who does the audiobook for Lord of the Rings. I like his voice, so.
I thought you were going to be like, I really love the guy that talks with Ezra.
Yeah, so did I.
Well, there's that too.
I
do really love Lane. Yeah, Lane has a great voice.
Can we all just admit that we have a crush on Lane? Can we just go and say that?
I definitely have a crush on Lane, and I hope that he hears this.
Oh, he's going to. His wife is a Swisher. Listens to you guys.
I don't have a crush on Lane. I don't.
No.
I think she knows that she's got a hot husband.
She knows. No, he's a character, of himself.
No worries.
He's a wild card. I love him. So, but yeah, check that out if you guys have time and whatnot. We're hoping. Lane actually wanted me to ask you guys if I had time if we could do a collaboration sometime for Felix File or something. Thanks, Sarah.
I will join you.
We're in.
Yeah.
Okay, I got Katie and Megan. So
as a fan of Unexpected Podcast, I will join in.
They're not the fun ones. You really need me if you want it to be any good.
Okay, good.
Yeah, according to one of our listeners, I have a calming voice.
Yeah, I was like, that's not true.
Hey, I think she's very calming.
You're calming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lying is a sin.
I enjoyed that comment.
But yeah, that's it for me this week, though.
Projects? No. Okay.
You're not going to talk about your other projects?
Well, I was going to save one for this week and do one for next week.
Oh,
you could do them all if you'd like.
Oh, okay. Well, then the other one is Game of Thrones. It's completely different, though. Game of Thrones is completely different than, Harry Potter, but it's fantasy based.
Completely different.
Yeah, there's magic. There's some stuff going on there.
There's death.
There's death. People die. They're heroes. But yeah, it's called Bend the Knee. I do that with my buddy Matt. Matt's been here and there up in Cleveland with me and with you guys and loves the podcast too. So we're actually both going to be, and I think Lane's going to be there as well at Potterfest. No, it's not called Potterfest, but to me it's Potterfest.
Wizardly World of Kent.
Okay, yeah. But we're all going to try to come up and support you guys and be there and hang out. So it's where I met you guys last year. And
you're not going to try and come. You are going to come, and you're working the booth. I
know. So I'll be there. So,
yeah. Make it sound all nice, and I was like, no.
No.
Megan would be freaking out if Ezra was like, yeah, I'm going to try to come up and help. She's like, no, we're desperately
it.
We have you down. Be there all day.
Oh, gosh.
From what, Friday till Sunday, you're going to be with us.
I'll be there.
We have you.
Okay. But yeah, so that's it. Thanks, guys.
Also, I do want to give a little reminder to everybody. I know that this is a lot of closing information, but Wizardly World of Kent is coming up. It's at the end of July. We have quite a few listeners coming. We are going to have a booth there where you're going to be able to meet us, talk to us, hang out with us. We're going to be hosting trivia. We're also going to be hosting an after hours event, which we haven't really given a lot of details on yet, but it's happening. So look out for details there, and we hope to see a lot of you guys there. It's July 28th for anybody who knows, and it's just in the downtown Kent area.
Really, they're going to call it Swisher Day instead of Wizardly World of Kent.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Guys, we could probably make our own Swisher Day next year.
That'd be fun. That'd be so fun.
It would be ridiculous.
That'd be so fun.
Do you want me to talk about my upcoming project?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm working on being an aunt. It's officially happened. She's here. She's the cutest little nugget. And I get to hold her all the time. I changed her diaper today. Tiffany and Marty were shocked. I'm like, I've changed a diaper or two before in my life. And I actually change them for work all the time. So that's my project. Cuddling her.
I love
She's adorable and I love her.
I love it.
I can't wait to meet her.
Yes. I want to give a huge thank you to Ezra for joining us, for filling in, helping us out, and for being amazing.
Even when you didn't feel well, because
Wow, thanks, guys.
the pain in your
That's
face.
a true Hufflepuff.
I'm sorry my face is all jacked up, Sarah.
I'm not saying anything. I
I'm just
genuinely
kidding.
feel bad that you.
I love you too. I love you too. Thanks. Thanks, Katie.
Yep. Thank you.
So that concludes this week's episode. Thank you so much for listening, and don't let the muggles get you down.
Amazing! Just my voice!
And I saw the hidden nuggets.
I'm sorry.
This is gonna be
I'm really sorry.
It's okay. I'm just gonna like. That's why I have this like. I'm just. It's like a cool rag. I'm just sort of like just holding everything together.
I'm nervous.
You're
like really
fine.
nervous. I don't think I've ever done this before. What's a podcast?
All right.
That was hot.